Every success story requires a minimum amount of obsession. It requires an investment when it comes to time, blood, tears, and whatever you name it that you have to put into that particular project. That is a given. Having said that, there is obsession and obsession. There is healthy obsession and unhealthy obsession. Unhealthy obsession may look great because you're spending so much time working on a project, but ultimately, when the ugly side of what's driving is going to show up, then you're going to simply show the world that you were simply on your way out because you want to simply distract. You simply wanted to destroy everything that you worked so hard to produce. Let me just give you a perfect example. September 23rd, 1926, in Hamlet, in North Carolina, America, was born a young man that came to be known in the books of history as John Coltrane. As this young man was born to his father, Coltrane Sr. was actually working as a tailor, and his mom, Alice Blair, who happened to decide, yes, I'm going to be working for him because this gentleman is working, making enough money for all of us. I don't need to be working. So as they're working in this ideal environment, and they moved to this place called High Point in North Carolina. Family, of course, started gathering at the place, and it was basically a very stable life. But as fate will have it, in 1938, first, the auntie on the Blair's family, Blair's side of the family, passed away. Shortly after that, as if that it was not enough, just a few months after that, the father, Coltrane Sr., passed away. And to compound matters, a few months shortly after that, the grandpa, so basically Miss Alice Blair or Miss Alice Coltrane's father, passed away. So all of a sudden, they go from being middle class people to poor people because the mother had now to start working in order to help provide for the family, and that was still not enough. But around the same time, in 1939, John Coltrane started playing music. He first had an alto horn and eventually moved to a clarinet, and ultimately he moved on to play saxophone. So as he's playing this instrument, very quickly he developed something key. He developed what we used to be praised openly as obsession, because he would play obsessively on his instrument on a daily basis. He would spend insane amount of hours practicing his instrument. But very quickly, those who were familiar with the matter, at least the family matter, were able to point out that yes, the young man is actually using the instrument as his coping mechanism. He's playing, but unfortunately he's playing out the instrument with such a ferocity, such passion, such religion, that it looks as if the young man thinks that playing that much instrument is going to help resurrect his family. And that was basically the beginning of something really key. Shortly after that, the mother realizes that there's not enough employment for her in High Point, North Carolina. So she decided to move north. She decided to go to the city of brotherly love. She decided to go to Philadelphia, where she finds employment. John Coltrane stays in High Point because he has to finish his high school education, grade 11. That was back in the days, you have to finish at grade 11. So as he finishes grade 11, he stays a little bit in High Point and he starts going back and forth between High Point and Philadelphia. Ultimately, he decided to stay in Philadelphia, especially after he was discharged from the army at the end of the World War II in 1945. And around that time, something amazing happened. The king of jazz music at the time, Gillespie, was supposed to play in Philadelphia. So everyone was drawn to that particular venue because of Gillespie. But they did not know there was a young and upcoming artist who was also set to perform at a particular venue. As they got there, at one point after Gillespie had done his thing, and now he leaves the stage for a solo by this young saxophone player by the name of Charlie Bird Parker, who at the time had not released the album yet, and that's the reason why most people did not know who he was. But as he started playing, everyone was into wind instrument in the room was completely transfixed, because they heard now Charlie Bird Parker playing the saxophone with a grammar that was not familiar to them when it comes to music. He started using phrases that they never heard before. He started using punctuation where they never imagined there could be punctuation as far as the music grammar is concerned. They were completely shocked. After the performance, they rushed backstage to meet, of course, Gillespie and pay the respect. But they also now went to the young upcoming artist by the name of Charlie Bird Parker to ask him questions as to how exactly he had reached this level of proficiency or mastery as far as music is concerned. Then they heard, they discovered that yes, this gentleman was only this good because he was obsessively playing an instrument called saxophone. John Coltrane goes home and simply says, from now on, I thought I was obsessive when it comes to my practice. I'm going to now take this obsession to the next level. He became so obsessed that now he'll be playing his instrument night in, night out. So day in, day out, he'll be playing his instrument to the point where by the time he'll be done playing his instrument, you could see blood on the reed of this instrument. And at night, when we have to be quiet in the neighborhood, he says, I can't play instrument because my neighbors are going to complain. So what am I going to do? I'm now going to be just practicing my fingering. So just playing silently so I can practice my fingering at the same time now solidify the pathways I've already built in my own brain. That's what we're seeing. That was the tip of the iceberg. But under that, something else was happening. Something dark. Because from 1939, 1940, the young man had started drinking back in High Point, North Carolina. He started using alcohol as a way to actually numb the pain he was feeling from the losses he experienced between 1938 and 1939. And because this was morally and socially accepted in the South as a behavior from a young man like that, so they let him drink. So he was almost drinking his life away. But on top of that, the young John Coltrane developed an aversion or a dislike for dentists. He didn't like dentists. So because of his lifestyle, at one point the gum and at one point the teeth basically started asking to go see a dentist, and basically he was in pain. So he said, I don't like going to the dentist. I'm in pain already. So what I'm going to do, instead of just going to see a dentist, I'm going to drink more alcohol to mask the pain. But at one point, even the alcohol was not enough to help him mask the pain. So what did he start doing? By 1938, he basically started doing drugs, started doing heroin. And that was basically the beginning of a cycle that basically led to his demise, because it was a self-destructive cycle. Why am I talking about this? Because as you can tell from the very beginning, obsession is needed. But there is healthy and unhealthy obsession. Unhealthy obsession on the surface may look like, yes, something really good. You're extremely passionate about what you do. But if you don't seek professional advice from a coach, from a psychotherapist, from a psychologist, from someone who's trained when it comes to mental health, more specifically psychologists and psychotherapists, what's going to happen is something key that's driving you to behave this particular way will simply be ignored. And the more you ignore it, it's simply going to get bigger and actually worse. And by the time it actually comes to the surface, we're now going to be dealing with a monster that's going to become too powerful for anybody to actually overcome. And that is exactly what happened to John Coltrane as far as his career is concerned until he passed away in 1967. If you've been enjoying this video, please make sure to share it with as many people as possible. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that next time we put together a video, you can be amongst the first one to see it. Alright, now back to our presentation. Oh my goodness, very quickly. The same obsession that led Charlie Bird Parker to play the way he was playing is precisely the same obsession that was also hiding basically another addiction to painkillers, and that addiction is precisely what led to his early demise, because addiction to heroin basically ended up shortening his life. So again, as far as you and I are concerned, Obsession is great, but obsession must be kept in check. I will simply say, healthy obsession will simply say, yes, in order for me to reach a particular level, I know that most people, as far as my field is concerned, are spending 1 or 2 hours as far as the field is concerned. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to commit to putting in 4 to 5 hours on a daily basis every single day and not missing the beat. When you do that, you're going to rise to the top over time based on the thing called compound interest that's actually given. But when you decide to actually go above and beyond and simply say, yes, I'm going to be spending as much time I need, as many hours as required, as far as mastering my thing is concerned, slowly but surely, you're going to now be going toward this unhealthy side of obsession. And that's why basically you're going to start now opening the door to all kind of demons when it comes to things that basically leading you to behave like this in the first place. And before you know it, if you don't seek professional advice early enough, soon enough, before you know it, that small door will become simply a huge gate that will open basically the entrance of a monster that's going to become way too big, way too powerful for anyone to help you address. And before you know it, it can potentially lead you places you don't want to go. All right, I'm going to stop right here. Before I go, just a quick reminder. In order for you to flip to your next level, you have to be intentional. And intentionality starts with one key thing: awareness. Awareness is the beginning of change. Awareness is the beginning of a potential breakthrough. And now for that awareness to happen, my friend, you have to simply make sure that whatever you are doing, you always surround yourself with a healthy tribe of people who can keep your ambition in check. Because if everyone simply say, yes, do anything you want, you are basically free to do anything you want, my friend, slowly but surely, you're going to start going to places you don't want to go. Because before you know it, it's going to become the beginning of a self-sabotaging cycle that will simply lead to your early demise. All right, much love, everyone. Take good care. I'm out.